Marcus Mita, ladies and gentlemen.
Please don't take my presence here as supporting everything that Jody Levchuk just said.
Okay.
Although I agree with most of it. I agree with most of it. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight. I know it's a little bit late for everyone, and I'm very appreciative that you came. And Jody, for God's sakes, man. And I saw Preserve Wonderland here. Thank you and welcome. I appreciate that. I also saw, I'm just looking at the postcard right now, Friends of Ocean City, New Jersey, History and Culture, welcome. Thank you. And for those who can't make it, well, you're here already, but we're going to have another meeting December 4th in the Tabernacle. As I'm looking around, I want to apologize in advance that we don't have enough seating. Had we known about the turnout, we would have had it at the Tabernacle, but we'll get another opportunity there. And as Jody said, this is a concept. And I'd also ask you to forgive me because zeal for Ocean City consumes me. And this is a site that I'm very passionate about along with you. Just to give you a little bit about my background, my wife Sue and I, we have 5 children, we have 17 grandchildren, and the only seashore town they've ever known in their life is Ocean City. And they all have their favorite rides at Wonderland and at Playland. My first ride, I recall, was on the wet boats. And for that reason, we're keeping the wet boats too. But we'll get into that in a minute here. I thought, before we can look at the future, sometimes it's good to take a look at the past. And so, even though most of us probably know this, I'm just going to read 2 paragraphs here. And this is a book I picked up about the history of Ocean City. And it says, Ocean City was founded in 1879 by 5 Methodist ministers, the Reverends William Burrell, William Wood, and brothers S. Wesley Lake, Ezra B. Lake, and James E. Lake, and the Lake brothers' father Simon Lake. Their aim was to build a Christian seaside resort, much like that of Ocean Grove, New Jersey, several miles to the north. But the men envisioned one big difference between Ocean City and Ocean Grove. Theirs would be a year-round community as well as a summer retreat. Theirs would be a year-round community as well as a summer retreat. To introduce the new resort community, they organized excursions to bring people from as far away as Philadelphia, 60 miles to the west. While building a community was uppermost, religion was never far from the minds of the founding members. They stipulated in all property deeds that there was to be no production or sale of alcohol. So I wanted to get that out of the way up front here. There will be no sale or production of alcohol in anything that we build here in Ocean City. During the summer, they organized religious retreats centered around a large tent on campgrounds between Wesley and Asbury. As the meetings grew in popularity, transportation to the island became easier. There was a great need to house these visitors. The first hotel, the Pequot, opened in 1880. Soon more hotels and guest houses were built. Many of the hotels stayed open throughout the year. By 1900, some 29 hotels had been built on the island. But more than simple hotels were needed to keep the community flourishing. With the year-round population increasing, the schools now open, businesses of all kinds thriving, and a government working well, it was still felt by many residents that something was holding the city back from all that it could be. After much discussion and a study by a committee appointed by the Chamber of Commerce, it was decided that a new, large, modern, oceanfront hotel should be built. Such a structure was deemed necessary if the community was to keep up with its resort neighbors. In 1922, the Oceanfront Hotel Corporation of Ocean City was organized, led by prominent local businessmen. It was charged with finding a location, constructing, and operating the new hotel. All city residents would have the opportunity to buy shares in the new corporation and thus participate in this endeavor. It was decided that the hotel would be built at 11th and the Boardwalk. Ocean City Vivian Smith Ocean City native Vivian Smith was chosen as the architect. On July 28, 1923, the Flanders Hotel opened with much fanfare. Dignitaries from as far away as New York City attended the gala dinner, and newspapers from up and down the East Coast raved about the new hotel. So I think that's, again, sometimes you have to look at the past to take a look at the future and to see where we've been, and as a city, decide what's best for where we want to go. And I see the Save Wonderland signs. I wish we could have. I think Mayor Gillian did his best. I actually spoke to, in the last 2 years, the Morey brothers, Jack and Will, who happen to be two good friends, asked them if they were interested in a new venture or a joint venture or let's doing something together in Ocean City, and they just said, can't do it, cannot do it. So I happen to think the Morey brothers operate probably one of the best amusements establishments that I've seen outside of maybe Disneyland. They really do a phenomenal job. And the toughest places to run are seasonal. Disneyland is far, far more easy to run than Morey's Piers. Disneyland is far, far easier to run than Playland and Castaway Cove, by far. And that's why we don't see a lot of, we don't see any big brands here. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But I think one of the things that all of us can agree on is that we have to do something. We have to do something with the site. We just can't leave it the way it is. And so that's why, to start out, we're America's greatest family resort. Somebody asked me, how did we get to become America's greatest family resort? I was curious. I did the research. And the fact is, it was when the Flanders opened up, they said, this is America's greatest family resort, and it caught on. True story. It's in the book here, and it caught on. And we've been able to hold on to that moniker for over 100 years now. So I asked myself a question, and people know this in the hospitality industry. What denotes the definition of a resort? And it's basically three things. It's entertainment, food, and hotels to support the entertainment and the food. And we all know what the entertainment and the food is. So here's some interesting facts. Jody was talking about tax. The #1 revenue generator in all of Ocean City is tourism. Now, why is that important? Because I know in the winter, you know, in the cozy season, we like to call it, a lot of us are like, boy, this is a relief. You know, I come out in front of my house on Wesley and there's no cars there. And that part is a relief. But since it's the largest revenue generator, we have to look at ourselves and say, well, what generates the revenue? Tourism, #1 revenue generator. Hotel rooms, #1 support of tourism. Because the people who come down and rent, what do? They go to the Acme, they go to the ShopRite, and they buy all their groceries, and they bring them home. And then they cook at home, and yes, they may go to the boardwalk, but it's the people, just to give you an idea, in our other hotels, which are we're in Cape May County except for one in Spring Lake, we average 4 occupants per room, average stay 3 nights. Now, what's the difference between them and the people who rent on a shorter term or even maybe a month? The difference is they're here for 3 days and they say, I got to go to Magamenko's, I've got to go to Shriver's, I've got to go to Coors, I've got to get the ice cream, I got to play mini golf, I got to go to Playland, I got to go to Wonderland. Those are the people that not only have the sense of urgency, but they budget to spend the money with us. And so that's why it's so important. And the benefits to us are, as residents here, that's what keeps our taxes lower. The more commerce we have, the job of a mayor, I don't know if Mayor Gillian's still here, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but it's the truth. The job of a mayor and the city council, Jody, is to encourage commerce, encourage growth. Why? That's what creates a vibrant city, and that's also what holds our taxes down as residents. Where's that? Good, thank you. What does all this mean to Ocean City's business? I want to tell you a short story. So I started dating my wife when she was 17 and I was 18. She worked at Campbell's Seafood on 32nd Street. Raise your hand if you remember Campbell's Seafood. All right, good. A good amount of you do. So I actually fell in love with her. She had that great white uniform on and was serving crab cakes and the like. But today, and that was a tremendous, Mrs. Mulford did a great job there. Incredible, food, fresh. It's gone. People say to me, well, you're saying that hotel rooms have gone. You've seen, if you haven't, I'm going to get to them in a minute, but we listed all the hotels that were gone because people said to me, well, how do you know we went from 3,000 hotel rooms in the last 30 years down to 1,000? Well, the proof is here in the pictures, and also we went street by street. Mark, raise your hand. He was like my Google man. He went street by street. We mapped out every hotel and the amount of rooms in them. So here's what it means, Ocean City. When you lose 3,000, if you go from 3,000 to 1,000 rooms, what happened is we just lost 70% of our room inventory. And those are the people who fuel our businesses. Case in point, people said, where'd the rooms go? Two things. Mom and pop in the 40s, 50s, came down, bought a piece of land for 10, 15, 20,000. That land is now worth 4, 5, 6 million. And so what do? The heirs don't want it. They say, well, we're going to sell it. Well, who buys it? Not another hotelier. Who buys them is developers who build duplexes and triplexes. That's one way. Or the second way is that they condo tell them and they say, well, you know what? We're going to sell them room by room by room. The only problem with that is, well, there's two problems. Once you build residence, that's it. Hotel's done, never to come back again. Once you condo tell them, if you look around Ocean City, most of these hotels and motels, except for like the Flanders, which have steel as their base, Port-a-Call, a block and plank is their base, so there's steel in that building. But back then, these 2-story and 3 stories, they only had a very small mix of cement to rebar, which is steel. The shelf life of them was maybe 20, 30, 40 years at the most. Case in point, I come in on 32nd Street to get to our house, on 34th Street, and I pass the sea spray. If you haven't seen it, you'll see the sea spray today, which has, hey, can I borrow that since it's shaking in the background? It's like it's calling to me. Everything else is, oh, that's right, never mind. You can just hold it up, Colin. But it's on 34th Street, and there's a chain link fence, and it says condemned. Why? There's 34 owners there. You can't get, you know yourself, we have enough problems having 2 duplex owners agree. Imagine trying to get 30. So they couldn't agree. Do we fix it up? Do we tear it down? And that conversation's been going on for over 20 years because I was part of it. And you just couldn't get everybody to agree. So now the building's condemned. They can't stay here anymore. And I'm here to tell you tonight that we're going to see more of that in Ocean City because more of these buildings were turned into condo hotels. So that's what it means to Ocean City. So we're down in inventory from 3,000 rooms to 2,300. Now let's talk about some other things. I go on Asbury Avenue today, and I see a Hallmark store gone. How's a card store go out of business if you don't have the population? I can't answer. I'm just putting the question up. We had a bike shop right next to Joann's. And I used to go for years. Our whole garage is filled with Anarelli's bike. Gone. Anarelli's Repair. Gone. Vince's Bike Shop. Gone. Where are they going? Because we can't support them. We can't support them as residents. We need the tourists. We need the transient person. How about Watson's? Anybody remember Watson's restaurant? Right? 6 duplexes. How about, other than Kessel's, which I happen to have a soft spot for, the Green Grill, great spot, 2 duplexes, gone. Tom kept that place immaculate. It was immaculate. Gone. Why? Because the price of real estate was more than he wanted to play to have it. The Bellevue Hotel, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, we looked at it to keep it as the old Bellevue, like we've done with some other hotels. But he went into bankruptcy, and next thing you know, that building got condemned. Next thing you know, that's 4 triplexes. That's on 8th Street. So what happens is we lose so slowly, we actually don't know we're losing. We lose so slowly, we think we're winning. I use this analogy. Some people like it. Some people, I like frogs too. But if you try to boil a frog, throw him in the boiling water, he jumps out. But if you put him in room temp and you turn it up slowly, what happens? he slowly heats up until he falls asleep, and that's the end of the frog. Well, I would say to you, over the last 30 years, I didn't know, unless I did this research, I wouldn't have known it myself. Unless I was a resident of Ocean City all my life, I wouldn't take the chance that if this happens, you know, if we're able to build this, and as Jody said, it's a long, long way from approval. And that's why I'm getting out to see as many people as I can, love to meet with, you know, if you have a group that you'd like me to meet with too, depending on how you like the presentation, you know, I'll come see it. Okay. The difference between transient guests and homeowners, we already talked about that. Homeowners don't raise your hand, because I don't want anybody to be embarrassed, but think how many times you've been to the boardwalk, how many times you went down Asbury. It's the transient guests who have that sense of urgency. I got to buy now. I got to go to I got to get the T-shirts. I got to go to Uncle Bill's. I got to go to Bob's. I thought, let's get this out of the way in the beginning, and then everybody can kind of relax, because this is nothing more than a discussion. And as I said, what you've read in the papers and whatnot is just my zeal for Ocean City. Parking. We hear and we know this is one of the biggest problems in Ocean City. So people said to me, what about the parking? I said, well, let's talk about the parking. On a great Saturday and Saturday night, Wonderland will get 3,000 people there. Guess how many parking spots Wonderland has today? Zero. What we're proposing is 250 rooms with 375 spots. So we'll net add over 100 spots. We'll be net adding over 100 spots in parking that today doesn't exist. Let's talk about, we've already talked about alcohol, so I don't think we need to go any further, but I'll take any Q&A that you want after that. We're going to handle it the same as Flanders does with weddings and so on and so forth. Others will want to build. Believe me, that would be great for all of us. But this is, I'll just give you a quickie. There's 4 hotel types. You have your economies, which is your Motel 6, and your Econo Lodges. And they have a lobby like the size of this podium here. You throw your key, you leave, there's no relationship. The second, and these are the most profitable hotels, are called I'm drawing a blank on my own hotels. Oh, select service. We don't have one of these, but select service means like a Hilton Garden, a Marriott Courtyard. You think they're in food and beverage when you stay there, but they're not. They have a front desk who has a nice underbar, and they bring out in the morning, they bring out their granola and the yogurt and the bagels, and they bring out scrambled eggs that were done in a microwave bag, and they put them out there. But they put a nice waffle iron so you feel like you're getting a custom breakfast. I mean, it's genius. I wish we could do that, but when you're down the shore, you can't do that kind of stuff, okay? So others will want to build. Have you noticed that there's not a Hilton, a Hyatt, a Marriott, a Four Seasons, or any big brands in Cape May County, or when you go north of Atlantic either? Why? I gave you the 2 hotel types. The third one is called full service. That's your Hilton, Hyatts, Marriotts. They're at Philadelphia Airport. They're suburbs, and they're very successful. They serve 3 meals a day. The hardest hotel to run is the 4th kind. It's called full service resort. Now, why is it the hardest to run? Because it's very simple. Instead of one night as a business person or as a family, they're there for, our average is 3 nights. There's many points where you can disappoint them. You didn't give them a chair on the beach. You didn't give them an umbrella on the beach. The valet didn't smile at them. The front desk didn't smile at them. They didn't get a good meal there. There's only one harder hotel to run, and I see some of our friends from Wildwood Crest here tonight, and that's full service resort seasonal. That's why you see no big brands. They are the most toughest to make a profit at. Why? A month ago we had 1,100 team members. Today we have 250. So every year we have to hire 800 new people. It's a human resource nightmare. But here's something I want you to be proud of, because you're Lifetime Ocean City, I'm Lifetime Ocean City. Icona Resorts, our hotels, are rated #1 in every city that they serve. Cape May, Icona used to be #1. It was taken out by another one of our hotels called Mahalo. But Avalon was rated dead last before we bought it and rebuilt it, #1. And why is that important to us? Well, because it shines a light on Ocean City. it shines a light on us to have that same opportunity. But here's a fact that I'm very proud of as an Ocean City resident. There's 5,000 banks in the United States. There's 15,000 car dealers in the United States. There's over 100,000 hotels and motels. Very competitive business. Icona is rated in the top 50 to 75 every year since our inception. And that isn't to impress you, but to impress upon you the culture and what we think that can bring to Ocean City as well. So we don't think others will want to build because it's too risky and banks won't finance it. However, if they would, I would encourage us to embrace it. One hotel, one building I was very upset that I did miss out on, and that was the Crown Bank, because I think that could have been a great addition to the Asbury Avenue. Competition. When people talk, and we've talked to our friends who own the Portico, the Scullies, and they agree because there's history behind it. A rising tide takes all boats with it. Not only have every city that we've been to, we've raised not only the property values around us, including the hotels and motels, but we also force them, by the way we do things, to redo theirs. I think if you talk to Curtis Bashaw, you may know him, he was running for Senate, he would tell you that we helped Cape May, we helped his hotel. I think Bob Belancin, who owns the Grand, will tell you the same thing. So as we said, a rising tide. The Flanders, over 100 years old. Now I'm going to go through these quickly and save you having to sit here. I'm going to go real quick, but these represents all the incredible hotels. That one, thank God is still here, but it's a condotel. It's a different definition. Gone. 60 rooms, Breakers gone. Bellevue, this is one that was just 4 or 5 years ago gone. That's 4 triplexes. Idlewild gone. Oceanic was a motel, now a condo. Hanson, it's still there, now a condo. Condo. Shifting Sands condo. But let's go, there were some great old grand hotels here. The Brighton, let's see if we get to that. But you understand what we're saying. We've lost 2,300 hotel rooms. That's the Portico. They do a great job of keeping that up to date. Very nice inside. That's 9 stories high. This is when people talk about height. What about height, Eustace? 1 block away is the Gardens Plaza. That's 13 or 14 stories high, 14 if you include the mechanicals. Where that red arrow is where the Icona and Wonderland would be height-wise. I just brought this up because I thought this was interesting. In Seaside Heights, they had the same thing. Somebody came and said, they wanted to build a hotel there, a New York developer. And but if you look at the style, to me it looks like a mini casino. Now we could build that, and it would be $35 million cheaper to build that with the same amount of rooms, but that doesn't respect the heritage of Ocean City. When people ask me, what would you call, you're proposing, what would you call that architecture? I said, well, I call it Old Seashore, but we took cues from the Del Coronado, we took cues from the Grand Floridian, which also took them from Coronado, and we said, why not? Ocean City, why not us? Why not us? Again, there's another view of it. See, the problem with this is, it looks good today, but 50 years from now, it's out of style. When you look at the Congress and the Flanders, and you look at what we're proposing, it looked good 50 years ago, it's going to look good 75, 100 years from now. So there's where we came up with the concept of Icona and Wonderland. Why Icona and Wonderland? 3 reasons. We said we have 3 constituencies. One is the municipality of Ocean City. That's all of us. Today, currently, Wonderland, when it was operating, paid a little over $100,000 in taxes. Well, the way that works is about 35% stays in Ocean City, and then the other percentages go to Cape May County and to the state. If we, like the hotel I just showed you, the one that looked like a mini casino, if we just put this in a redevelopment zone, which is City Council just has to declare this is a redevelopment zone, the state then says, okay, since you did that, then we're going to let you keep 95 cents on the dollar. 95 cents on the dollar. So we estimate ours being a little over $1 million in tax, this hotel. So we go from 100,000, of which we only get to keep 35,000, to a little over $1 million, where we get to keep $1 million. I don't have to tell all you ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters here, what that means to us in terms of money for our infrastructure, for our roads. I think we can pave a whole road with that kind of money. So I think just from a municipality difference, that's the taxes. Now let's talk about us as a citizenry. Every one of us has a heartache when we think, what about Wonderland? What about Wonderland? So again, best in the business, we think it's the Morris, couldn't make it happen, or didn't want to, just said no, it's not going to work. And so I think, imagine if you're Mayor Gillian and what he's had to go through mentally and emotionally here. So I just think it was just a nod to Wonderland. There's the site, we all know where it is. We have a brand in Icona. We have a brand in Ocean City, America's greatest family resort. And you look at the Moreland, which is still here, and just the ice cream and the bicycles and the grand old hotels and so on and so forth. So our concept of Icona and Wonderland, we listened loud and clear to the citizenry, which was, hey, is there any way we can save the Ferris wheel? There's an organization, Save the Ferris Wheel. Is there any way we can save the carousel? There's an organization, Save the Carousel. So we said, you know what? And believe me when I tell you, it's into the millions to do that, but that's our goal. And not only that, it's 140 feet high, so you can see it. Obviously, when you're driving to Ocean City, I like seeing it too. It kind of gives you like a, now you know you're over the bridge. So we're going to take it up 10 feet, so we'll see it. It will be 150. You'll be able to see it from the Garden State Parkway. It's very expensive to light it up. It's between $400,000 and $500,000. We want to put the lights back up like we saw, that'll blink, so on and so forth. And the carousel, it shows outside, but you can't keep it outside. So we'll have dedicated space in that retail space if it goes through. And we have 10 to 12 retail stores there. And we envision the same stores that we have on the boardwalk now. You see a lot of them with multiple locations. Why? Well, here's why it would work here. This is the north side. We need an anchor. Is there enough room for an Ocean City Coffee Company? Absolutely. Think about this, if you have 250 rooms, 4 occupants, that's 1,000 new people every 3 days, spending money on our boardwalks. And I'm not saying we're going to be expensive, but I think the clientele that would come here, we'd be very happy with. There's so many people who would like to stay in a hotel in Ocean City, and we just don't have the accommodations, because again, we haven't seen a new hotel here in over half a century, because the economics on it are scary. That's the reason. This would be the Wayne side. And if you drive up to the casinos, what's the first thing you see? A parking garage. What's the last thing I want to see when I come up to a hotel that's supposed to be beautiful? A parking garage. So we have all the parking underneath, and you'll see that we used our architectural design. You may be familiar with our home building company, Christovest, the pride of Ocean City. We didn't make that up, Ocean City did, the pride of Ocean City. And so, we're very specific. You see the balconies here. It's really an ode to the magnificence and the grand pride of Ocean City. And again, you see retail. By the way, we're going to have entertainment, have live bands there. Don't worry, they're not going to be that loud. Not as loud as the amusement park was. And then, again, we'll have the retail stores. We have a promenade envisioned here. And to the left and right, you can't see them, would be open to the public fire pits. And a great shot of the Ferris wheel once again. Parking, 375 spots. Today there's 0. That's all underneath the hotel. We'd have 252 dedicated to our rooms, and then 100 plus dedicated to anybody who wanted to come to the boardwalk. And you'll be happy to know that that ends our presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now it'd be great to take any questions anybody has. Can we run? Amy? Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. Mita. I'm Dustin Alvino. I'm an owner actually directly impacted by this. I fixed up and kept the original character of the former Ebby Cottage and Guest House.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Unlike the previous owners, I'm actually keeping it for my family, and I don't rent it. But obviously, I'm very much impacted by what you have going on here. And, you know, I honestly would like the people to understand that Ocean City really moved away from hotel rooms because it's a family-oriented destination. Can we agree on that?
I think I'd have a hard time agreeing on that, Dustin, because where would the families stay if they didn't stay in
Families, they all
hotels?
get together and they rent condos, and the market has spoken, in my opinion, over the last 3 decades. You've seen that take precedence. There are 3,417 properties listed for available on Airbnb. There's another 1,200 properties available on VRBO. There's another 1,000 properties available on VRO CNJ. And then there's another 1,000 hotel rooms currently. There's 20 bed and breakfast properties with another 200 rooms. Can you tell us why you feel that the market really does need this? I just
Thanks, Dustin. Yeah, I think I just discussed it in the presentation. All the facts you gave are 100% correct. All those numbers you gave are 100% correct. We used to have 3,000 hotel rooms. Now we have 1,000. And I would ask you, because you have one business, the Ebb Tide. So maybe you're not, and you said it's for your family to stay. You don't rent the rooms out?
I do not rent any room.
Okay, so you have a personal home then.
Yeah.
So here's what I would say to you. What's the benefit to you? Well, if we bring $1 million in taxes, that's going to keep your taxes lower as a resident. If we end up to be a bedroom community like Avalon, New Jersey, there's only 3 hotels there now. When we were growing up, the Princeton was a hotel. Now it's a restaurant, no rooms. The Avalon Hotel on A Street, gone. So the Whitebriar Hotel used to be at 21st and the Beach, gone. Why? Because they weren't replaced by any hotels or motels. They were replaced by homes. Now that may be what we want to be, but we call ourselves America's greatest family resort. And a family resort has to be supported, but I can tell you, in our other 8 hotels, nothing but families. Go online and read our TripAdvisors. I think it'll make you feel better. But you're right on the figure, so thank you, Dustin. I appreciate that. Amy?
I got
Hi, I'm a homeowner year-round here, and I just have a question. You're saying about, we need hotel rooms. Okay, I can buy into that. Is there any way that it can be written into this new zone that there will never be made into condominiums?
I'm sorry, what's your first name?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, okay. Is there any way that it could be written in, I mean, I guess you could...
Into this new zone, the redevelopment zone, that you will never, in perpetuity, these will not turn into condominium rooms like all these other motels that you just cited?
That's a great question. I can tell you this, Icona, we don't operate any condominiums. Whether that'd be a question for zoning or redevelopment. I actually don't know the answer to that, but we obviously are big on hotel rooms. We have bought some condos behind us in locations, and we not the whole building, like 1 or 2 units just for overflow, weddings, and so on. Thank you, Bonnie. Yes, sir. Amy?
Me? Okay. You brought a presentation to council a short time ago, and your partner, the mayor, and the council said they wouldn't support it. If that was approved or went forward, would Wonderland still be there?
Okay, I'm sorry. Your name is, please?
Thurston.
Thurston.
Yes.
Thurston, thanks. So the question you asked, I just wanted to be sure. You said I brought it to mayor and council and they shot it down.
They said in public they probably wouldn't support it.
Right. Well, that's exactly right, but it was not at Gillian's. It was in front of the high school, and our thought was you have a beach there that has volleyball courts. It's easily the most valuable piece of real estate in Ocean City. So that's where we proposed it. It was not proposed. This is our first one.
The question is, if that would have went forward, would Wonderland still exist?
Absolutely not.
So you're getting rid of Wonderland no matter what?
Well, no, it's not that I'm getting rid of it. Wonderland went out of business. That is not, I mean, they went out of business. From the time we bought Wonderland, we had an agreement with the mayor, see if he can give it a go. We took all the debt away, we took the debt payments away, and it couldn't continue as a going concern. I have a lot of incredible respect for Jay Gillian and incredible respect for what he's going through, And today would be Roy Gillion's 95th birthday. And he was a pioneer here for sure. He was a pioneer here for sure. But if Eustace Meade didn't come to, didn't live here his whole life, believe me, Thurston, I would not be doing this. It's way too risky, but if I didn't come, would Wonderland be out of business? 100%. Not even a 1% chance that it would not have. It just wouldn't.
Why didn't you say that with your presentation
What presentation?
that you made to council a little while ago? Before this, the presentation you made to council.
Why didn't I say Gillion's wouldn't exist?
Yeah.
Well, nobody asked me the question, but, I mean, hey, listen, if you came to me today, my wife would be the happiest person in the world. And that's why she's not in the room today, because it's, the personal attacks we've taken as a family are way out of bounds as far as I'm concerned. I brought up 5 children here. My wife and I brought up 17 grandchildren. So I would tell you, Thurston, that's out of bounds. But if we have a bank appraisal. If somebody today wants to buy Wonderland and make it an amusement park and just pay my carry for the last 4 years, raise your hand and I'll talk to you right after the meeting. You're in, Dustin.
I'm looking at your business. Sorry, my name is Ann Morrissey. I'm full-time resident here and I own a business as well. I'm looking at the design and wondering about the beach.
Yes. I'm wondering about the beach too.
I know that beach.
Yes.
Every time, what do we do to accommodate all of the guests?
2 years ago, that beach kind of looked like that. But as anybody who's lived here all their life knows, it ebbs and flows, and you can't. Mother Nature is Mother Nature. But I mean, yeah, I believe, and I don't know for sure, but I believe DEP has plans to replenish the beach again. And that would have to be the administration.
Would that affect the hotel as far as
Oh, no.
what the guests would be able to? That's a lot of people trying to get onto that small area.
And that Fish Street Beach is very small, and there's a jetty that runs through it. Every 2 years, that washes up. Like
That's right.
That's the surf beach there.
Yeah.
The kids and
Yeah.
their families can't even get in the water there, so they're either going to go to Fifth, which is a very small beach with a jetty running through it every 2 years, or they go to Seventh. I mean, it seems to be logistics problems for you. I mean,
It is. I told you it was risky, Dustin. I told you it was risky. But, I can't control the beach. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Joe, homeowner of 24th Street. Number one, it's not a redevelopment zone yet. Number two, where are you going to put your employees? Number three, the streets in that area of the island were nowhere near designed to handle the volume of traffic you're talking about. That's all I got to say.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I would tell you that our team members have to park off-site. So they'd be parked. All right, whoa. Let me answer. Let's not pile on. Right now, Gillion's has 100 employees, okay, at their peak. Where do they go? It's the same place that our 100, it's the same, no, seriously, think about that. It's the same place as our 100, and we have shuttles.
It's not year-round, sir. Gillion's is seasonal parking. It's not year-round, sir. Where would you put these people year-round? That's what they're asking, sir.
I'm sorry, and your name is?
My name is Helen. I also have other points as well, so I definitely would appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Helen. And Helen, where do you live?
I'm on Asbury Avenue, and you brought up 2 very important points, sir. You said that, number one, that with redevelopment comes with a great increase in the value of properties. And that's one of the questions, or one of the points rather, that we really need to make clear here, is that if you get your property zoned as a redevelopment zone to allow hotels, that means that the entire on-boardwalk area now suddenly is allowed to have hotels, which means it's much valuable, much more valuable.
Well, actually,
Hold on. I'm just going to,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to say what I have to say, and then certainly you can
Sure.
answer. So, what happens is suddenly all of that land becomes very valuable. So what's going to happen to all of the people that actually rent those businesses? That's going to end up going up dramatically for them. Now, you said that, well, you encourage other hotels from coming in. That's exactly what would happen if, in fact, your development comes through, is that entire boardwalk area can become open to hotel development, which is a problem. The other thing that you also said, sir, was that Ocean City has been like boiling a frog. And that's exactly what has happened, sir. Is that for the past 30 years, we've had development that has come in and just decimated this island. And this is exactly why we need to have our line in the sand now, because if your hotel is approved, unfortunately, the same thing that has happened to all of our single-family homes is going to happen to that boardwalk. We do not need an entire boardwalk of hotels. You said that the entire reason why you're coming here is because you think that, okay, a hotel needs to service the amusements. It needs to be able to be available for people coming to America's Greatest Family Resort, and I agree. However, a hotel is not appropriate in that area, because the bottom line is the attractions will not be there, sir. You're a Catholic, you're a Christian, and I think that you haven't thought this through. I think that the bottom line is, here you have it, because a hotel, we do not have a problem with a hotel. We have a problem with a hotel in that particular zone, because if a hotel goes in that zone, that will bring about the destruction of the entire boardwalk very, very quickly. It'll bring about the whole replacement of all of those shops, just like it brought about the replacement of all of our single-family homes. And that's what we're here fighting for. We're not against hotel development, sir. We're against hotel development in that particular zone because of the precedent that it will set. That's my point. Thank you.
Helen, give us some love. First of all, thank you. I appreciate the questions. And I think this will help you. You said if it goes into redevelopment, then anybody could build a hotel on the boardwalk. The opposite is true. Redevelopment is on a site-by-site, so it wouldn't open it up for the boardwalk. The second question you asked, and I think it was a very good one, you said, well, if you allow this, then so many hotels would come. Can you name, Helen, can anybody in this room name one hotelier that has proposed a hotel here?
Steel Pier, sir.
Steel Pier proposed a hotel here?
The owners of Steel Pier wanted to put it in, and they were in fact denied. In fact, that opens up another point, that other hotel developers that want to do the same thing as you were doing, sir, will then be able to open up lawsuits against the city. Not just the future ones, but also the past ones. Because other people have tried to do exactly what you're trying to do.
I'm sorry, because I've been here all my life, Helen. You'll have to, Steel Pier wanted to build a hotel in Wonderland?
Yes, we actually, not at Wonderland, on
Where?
the rest of the boardwalk, at the Soleil property.
Well, the Soleil it's already approved for a hotel.
I understand that, sir, but before that.
Helen, can you do me a favor?
Sure.
I really appreciate it. When you spoke and asked me questions, I listened. So would you allow me the same courtesy to give you the answers?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So Bain de Soleil has been approved now for 2 decades, and not a shovel has gone in the ground. And they've brought it to me numerous times. And the reason it hasn't gone in the ground is because it's too risky, and you can't get a bank to finance it. Don't ask me, ask the owners of Soleil. They're great people. But they don't want to take the risk to build it. There is nobody behind Icona, Helen. There's nobody. There hasn't been a hotel proposed. I know that the guys own Steel Pier, so I want to get you the correct answer. I will call them tonight, and if you give me your number, I'll report back to you. But I've not seen anybody who's proposed a hotel. Why do you think we haven't had a hotel here, a new hotel, in over half a century? Because the economics are awful. They're just awful. So we need something on the north end here. And if somebody has a better idea, and Dustin, I absolutely don't leave till you and I talk about this, okay?
Hi, my name is Bernadette, and I'm a full-time resident here in Ocean City. I vacationed here as a 16-year-old, staying at Myrtle's Beach Hall rooms for $5 a night back in 1966. So I have seen all the changes in Ocean City, and I want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for being willing to invest in our city and to do it with the level of elegance that it deserves. And I ask you to be persistent and work with the people to help them understand. To the people, I would like to say, we have to learn how to embrace change in the city as it evolves. just like we have in all social settings. Over the years, the 60s, the 70s, I've seen change in everything. This is a change, and a positive change for Ocean City. And if you live anywhere near there where you think it's going to be an impact, I would ask you to look at the broad vision for the city and not be selfish, looking for your own interest. I can't imagine that looking at Wonderland was beautiful, and that this wouldn't be a more desirable vision. So I just ask people to take the time to realize what it could bring to Ocean City. Change. Don't hide behind tradition.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Vita. I'm Nelson. I moved here at age 11 in the 70s, and I've come and gone a few times. My question is, has anyone thought about the fact that if we choke off amusements to the degree that this would, how that impacts our future, meaning the children? Jesus said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." In my family, our most fun we ever had was we would always look forward to the rides. If we look at Playland, they had to move their operation around what existed. And so my point would be is, has anyone done the research as far as if Disneyland locked up a bunch of their rides and didn't have them, who would stay in their hotels? Or in our case, the condos that are family oriented. One last point. The reason why, from my observation, when I moved here, there was Sims, there was Watson's, there were all the places to eat. That's because there were no kitchens. There was no air conditioning. We now have granite tops and, Thermador refrigerators. So that would be my concern is, has anyone looked at the reduction of rides and what that would do to what we think is a place for people to stay, as opposed to the benefit of the young people?
I'm sorry, Nathan? Nelson. Well, first of all, thanks for the question. As I said, we have 17 grandchildren, and I think part of the problem with what's going on is right here. iPad, iPhone. We didn't have these when you and I were growing up, Nelson. And the time that the FaceTime that these kids put in this is awful. And to get them outside and to get them up to the boardwalk would be the best. I think Scott Simpson has done an incredible job with Playland. I watch it grow and grow. Like Disney World, the place is immaculate, and he's done a wonderful job. And so I would tell you that, where can they go? We're going to have an arcade there, we're going to have an indoor pool there, we're going to have the carousel there, we're going to have the Ferris wheel there. So is it going to have the same amount of rides that Wonderland had? No, it's not. But you brought up another good point too, Nelson. You said that, before you didn't have kitchens and whatnot, and you do have kitchens. But if you look at the stats, and you can Google this, don't take my word for it, people are eating out more now than they have in the history of the United States of America. Even, we have one of the most beautiful kitchens I've ever seen in my life. But, we're at Kessel's 2-3 nights a week. I think Dr. Manco knows us, Chuck. We're at least two nights a week at Manco. And, it's just we're living in a different world. But as far as takeout and as far as the people, even though they do have the kitchens and technology, they're actually going out more. Thank you, Nelson.
Hi, Mr. Mita. My grandparents go back to Atlantic City, and I have a small business here on Asbury. A presentation was just done of, I think it's called Plaza Place, that's directly in back of you. They're old homes, it's an old neighborhood. And we've been told that your development will cast a shadow on that neighborhood till, they won't see any sunlight till 2 in the afternoon. I believe that there is a group that will, and I believe they've got at least $1 million donated. They are interested in, I think they're talking about a land swap with you, and to keep Wonderland and I think we'll call it Save Wonderland, but it's also a group called Friends of Ocean City. My other question is, you appear to be playing Monopoly here with building the biggest hotel on Boardwalk and Plaza Place. And that's a little frightening to me because I think the goal of Monopoly is to wipe everybody out. The majority, you say there's no hotel rooms in town, but they've been converted. They're all working class people and they all own condos. And they rent out their places every week and every weekend. They come and clean them. And those are our hotel rooms, and it's every street. They're not condos. They're small little family hotels, you could call them. I know they were called Airbnbs, but that's where our families are staying, and thank you.
Thank you, thank you. When you talk about monopoly, I just wanted to answer that in one way. Once again, and I'm going to do this when we get to the Tabernacle meeting, I'm going to ask some of these other hotel owners to come out. Because not only have we not monopolized anything, but we have brought up the values, and we brought up the values of the hotel rooms themselves. And the people that you speak of who are renting their rooms out now, they won't be affected at all. It's just like people who want to buy a new car, they buy a new car. They say, I'm not going to put up with I don't want the wear and tear of a used car. People who buy used cars say, I'm not going to pay the depreciation. So those rooms will not be lost at all. I had somebody else say to me, what about Airbnb? Aren't they putting the hotels out? And the truth of the matter is, if you talk to any realtors in town or in any of the Cape May County towns, they'll tell you, Airbnb didn't affect the hotels at all. What it did affect is the rentals from big rental agencies like Berger, so on and so forth. The people who used to rent their homes through there and pay 10, 12%, they're the ones who are going on Airbnb. So it hasn't affected our hotel business. The hotel person is someone who wants just to be waited on, to have the rooms made, just to relax and not have anything to do. So I wouldn't worry about those. They'll do fine. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Meada. My name is Bill, and I live over at 12th and Simpson.
Hello, Bill.
Question for you. I know you've been proposing a hotel in Cape May at the site of the Beach Theater.
Correct.
And with that, you've also asked the council down there to make it a redevelopment zone. And this is started back in, I think, 2021, or in 2022 at that time.
Give or take, yeah.
And council there said no, and the mayor said no.
Right.
And I thought the mayor had a very good statement when he said no. He said, we're not against you building things, you just need to build by our rules. And in that case, the rules for them that were very important were historic preservation, because as you know, what redevelopment allows you to do is bypass all the rules. That's the purpose of redevelopment, because the purpose of...
I'm sorry, Bill, you're going to have to educate me. What rules do you bypass on redevelopment?
You bypass zoning, master plan, historic preservation. You bypass them all. That is how redevelopment works. We will have our attorney out at the meeting next Saturday. We can educate you on redevelopment, but that's how it works.
Thank you. That'd be great.
So when you think about Cape May said the rules made Cape May what it is, right? Why do people go to Cape May? Because of the historic culture there, the historic buildings and houses and Victorian thing. So they want you to build to those rules, right? And so, same thing for Ocean City, right? The rules on the boardwalk have made us what we are. It has made us America's favorite family resort because it's made a robust boardwalk, full of rides and things for kids, right? So, my question is, if council and the mayor here were to say no to you, after giving you, and they should give you every opportunity to convince them, but if they say no, what's happened in Cape May is you continue to push and that site remains a blight. Are you going to maintain Wonderland as a blight until you get your way? Or once city council says no, and you've had your opportunity, will you then say, okay, it's time to move on? Because I think leaving it undeveloped and as a blight will be a nightmare for the boardwalk merchants. They need something up there to pull the traffic up there. So I just want to know what your intentions are if council says no.
Well, I appreciate that, Bill. And I would tell you two things. I want to answer your first question. Number one, this is not Cape May. It's Ocean City. Number two, the former, but we couldn't move quick enough, the former administration did a study, brought in consultants, and they told Cape May that it's an area in need of redevelopment. So not me, I didn't ask for it, they told them that's what it needs. That site also sits in front of Convention Hall, which also the most successful convention halls have hotels that are attached to them. So those are the reasons for Cape May. I would also tell you that if you were to talk to Mayor Zach today, he would tell you that the two hotels we do there, Icona Cape May and Mahalo Cape May, have brought the city up, okay? So I would tell you this, Bill, the story's not finished on that yet. And let me ask you this, are you the same Bill Merritt that, what's the name of your organization?
The Friends of OC&J History and Culture.
Right. Mary Ann's part of your organization?
Yes.
Very nice woman.
No, it's a different Mary Ann, sorry, I think.
That's okay. Well, she called me this week and said that you had been trying to get a hold of me for weeks, Bill. So I'm glad you came out tonight because I'm very easy to get a hold of. I'm in the phone book. Everybody in Ocean City knows where I live. So anytime you want to have a discussion without grandstanding, I'd like to do it.
So we did send you a letter.
What's that?
We did send you a letter to which you never responded. We asked that the rides from Wonderland that you would consider before selling them, that you would consider donating some of the rides over to the historic societies here, because you would gain a tax deduction, and we may be able to reuse them at parts in town because they can be redeployed. So you never responded to that letter. The only thing we found out is the rides went up for sale. We were scrambling because the carousel was up for sale. We called the person selling the rides, the person that you or Jay had put in charge of selling the rides, and he said, yes, the carousel is for sale. We sent an offer that night for $225,000 for the carousel.
Did you get it?
No, because it was the carousel was pulled off the table because they said now it's not for sale. So one, you had the opportunity to reach out to us. You had a letter to you, sent to your house, left in your mailbox. You never called, you never wrote, which is fine.
Well, Bill, it's probably still there if you left it on Wesley, because my wife checked, all winter long, I don't check that. But be that as it may.
We also emailed it to you, we asked the mayor to give it to you, we asked all the councilmen to give it to you. So my point is, don't say that we didn't try to reach you. We did. I invited you out.
This is the fastest way to do it.
I don't have your phone number.
All you have to do is Google me. I find a Chris DeBest at Icona. Bill, do me a favor. If you're going to talk like that, then at least call me, okay? I'd appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
You got sidetracked. We were talking about the traffic on 6th and 7th
Yes.
Street.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
We started talking about the traffic and then we got sidetracked, so I was wondering, like 6th Street and 7th, they're not big streets. How are these 250 rooms, cars are gonna be coming in, how?
Right, that's a great question. Before we get to that point, we'll do a traffic study, and we'll see what the traffic was before with Wonderland and everything else, and then we'll compare it. A traffic study has to be done. I don't know that answer yet because we're not that far, but that is part. You can't go into zoning and planning, and even if you're in a redevelopment zone, you have to go through planning and zoning.
Eleanor Parker, I live in the North End. Beautiful picture, beautiful depiction, but I'm thinking of the half block of boardwalk, and I'm having a hard time figuring out how you're fitting that on a half block of the boardwalk.
Well, that's a great question.
With the big driveway out front and the beach like this, and I mean, I've been on that beach for the air show, and at high tide there was not 20 yards of beach, and these people paying what, $300-400 a night, they're gonna $500 a night for a room. We're gonna share the beach with the locals. I'm having a hard time figuring out how you're gonna fit that on Wonderland. So I'm like worried that this is like a ploy to get more or something. I just don't know how this is fitting in the area that you're talking about it fitting. Doesn't make sense to me.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that question. You'll be happy to know that this is exactly to scale. There's 300 feet of frontage in front of Wonderland right now, and that everything you see, the height, the width, everything you see is to scale. And with 300 feet, if you look at the boardwalk stores, I think some of them are 15 feet or 20 feet. So you can see we can get between 10 and 12 retail stores, which would be, the hotel would be sitting back. So that's exactly to scale. So it's not a problem to fit it. I'm sorry?
That property is only a block deep.
Right, I understand.
And you're gonna fit all of that
No, it is. We paid a lot of money to that architect. This is to scale. This is to scale. Yes.
Michael Camino from West Avenue. I guess my question is, obviously you're a professional real estate developer and you understand zoning. What is the purpose of zoning? Purpose of zoning is for a community, a city, to determine what is the appropriate use for an area of our community. We have a clearly defined zone on the boardwalk which says entertainment. Doesn't say hotels, condos, any of that nature. So if you want to discard zoning, why don't we convert some of my commercial real estate? I have quite a bit of commercial real estate in town. Why don't we turn the Chinese restaurant into a strip club that sells guns? Why not? To me, your proposal, by the way, the name of my strip club is called Nips and Clips. Perfect. To me, this is as offensive as an idea as your hotel is to our community. I'm a fan of your commercial real estate. I've stayed in Cape May, some of your resort. Beautiful resort. However, it is not appropriate for that section of the boardwalk. People are talking about land swaps. There is plenty of land in Ocean City, either zoned for your property, which would look beautiful elsewhere in our town, or plenty of places throughout our community that is either bayfront or oceanfront that would benefit from this, but not at 6th and Boardwalk. As someone else said, this is not monopoly. You don't get to have a hotel at Boardwalk and Wonderland Park Place. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me address that. First of all, I love your passion. I do. I have passion too. You said zoning, that it was not zoned for hotels. That is correct. It was zoned for entertainment. And it was zoned for entertainment in the late 1800s and 1900s. Times change, people change jobs. When Ocean City was founded, there was no cars. The first car came out in 1903, Henry Ford. So things have changed, and just because zoning was one way, you don't say that's the only way. It's like, why are the 76ers proposing a stadium in Chinatown? I mean, times change, people change jobs, they change cities. So I think we always have to look at zoning, and I will tell you this, we built in Avalon, Stone Harbor, Cape May, and we built in Nantucket, and I'll never forget this. I said, we're going to build in Nantucket, and they go, oh, let me tell you something, brother. You better be careful. Nantucket is the toughest place to build in the world. I said, really? Oh, yeah. Where do you get here? Well, I'm happy to tell you that my whole development career started in Ocean City. So I was like, geez, I wonder how bad it could be. I get to Nantucket, it was cake compared to Ocean City. Our zoning, we have more zoning sections in Ocean City than any city of any size. You see that? That's our zoning book. You see that? That's a zoning book in Avalon, Stone Harbor, and Longport. So I really do, what you're saying about the zoning. But again, we're in a whole different world today. Okay, 2 more questions. We have time for 2 more.
We can do 2 more right here. We have to wrap it up at 8
Sorry,
o'clock
Jim.
though, so
Okay.
the rules of the library.
The one question I have is 6th Street, if you realize all along 6th Street, you got the high school, you got football games,
That's right.
basketball games,
Yeah.
everything. Cancer, you name it. Any kind of, it happens on 6th Street. That whole 6th Street is there for the commercial people all around. It helps all of them. And to think that we're gonna put in a building like this and eliminate the beach, eliminate the surfers, eliminate the people who are making money in the community. To me, God bless you, you may make a ton of money, but I think the question this man had for you, if you don't go through, what are you gonna, if they deny you?
Okay, so
Would you sell that property?
So let me answer all your questions. All your questions. The first question was, you said, what about the football games and everything else? You'll be happy to know, but I'm not. You'll be happy to know that when we're open in the high season, that's June, July, August, September, the school is mostly closed. I call it the cozy season because the winter is not a good thing to talk about down here seasonally. We average about 12% occupancy. So I think 25, 30 rooms is not going to interrupt anybody during the school year. And as far as making a ton of money, it'll take 10 years to make this profitable, minimal, if we're able to do this. So, you know, I would tell you that those, you know, we're not going to have those type of traffic problems. The last question, and I want to make sure that we have the proof. You can look at any of our hotels now, they run about 12% occupancy. But I would tell you this too. What would we do with it? A by right now is you can build stores to a height of 15 feet. So we would put 13 stores to a height of 15 feet and a parking garage underneath. Do I think that's what's best for Ocean City? I don't. We'll have bowling alleys in this hotel. We'll have indoor. We'll have an indoor pool. But you know what?
Spa.
Spa. Yeah. I have to be careful. People get upset when they talk about spas. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Jody and Mr. Mina. I've been here since 1946. My grandfather, I'm living in my grandfather's house that he built in 1953. So I've seen it all. My concern is the high school, of course. And I just want to I urge everyone to come and read your write-up on Google. To me, it was absolutely remarkable. And I feel that any problems that would come up, you would be able to compromise. This is not Congress, and I think Congress could be, you could do it all. I have calls coming into my house all the time from high school friends from here who say, gee, normally we would love to have this hotel. We need a place to bring our whole family. And also calls from out of town and across the country. So good luck and don't give up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. I'm sure Mr. Meadle will have his cell phone published by the end of the day for everybody.
Thank you.
But he is very easy and accommodating to get a hold of, so I encourage you to do that if you have any questions. All right, thank you for coming.